guys, I've got a book review for you again this week, and it's of Tiger Lily, and I know a lot of you have been waiting for my review on this one. So I know a lot of you have been very interested in this book because I've shown it on vlogs and other social, I think Instagram, and a few of you have asked about it and have I finished it yet, and am I going to be doing a review on it? So yes, I have finished it, and here it is, said review. I got the hard copy edition, so it's quite big and chunky. I shall read the blurb for you on the back to start with. So for the next couple of weeks, Tiger Lily held Peter like a secret in her heart, lying right under her necklace. I could see him written on her face, and TikTok too seemed to catch shadows of him, because he'd stopped to stare at her, puzzled, as if he'd just seen the boy flit across her eyes. "What are you thinking of?" he asked one of these times, when she was sitting with her back against the wall. "Nothing," she said, but she hovered on those thoughts all the time. I hovered around lives I couldn't have, and at night I heard her whispering to the ceiling of her house, "Forget him, forget him." Ooh, yes. So there is, in the front, there is a massive sort of synopsis of the book, which I shall read to you at the end. So basically, this is a retelling of Peter Pan, and it's been a long time since I've read the story or watched the movie Peter Pan, which is kind of a good thing, because it's a story that I know because it's so famous and everybody knows it, but I'm glad I haven't read it recently, because because it wasn't so fresh in my mind. I kind of had a bit of a newer perspective on this. So this is a rework of Peter Pan, or it does follow the story, but it starts way back before Wendy is ever on the scene, and it's told from the point of view of Tinkerbell. Tinkerbell is the narrator on this, and she tells her story, but she also tells the story of Peter and Tiger Lily. And this book it took me quite a while to get into this book, but I wanted to persevere because I knew it was one that I wanted to read and one that I knew I would enjoy. But it did take me a while to get into it, and it wasn't gripping that I really wanted to read it. But it was, you know what I mean? Like, when a book's really gripping, you want to read it, and you want to read it in an hour. Nothing else matters when a book is that gripping. You'll walk around cooking dinner whilst reading. That wasn't that sort of book, but it was enough to kind of really hold my attention and make me want to finish it. It is very interesting because we learn a lot more about the island, Neverland, and we learn a lot more about the pirates. We learned, and this is where I couldn't remember 100% from the story, because we learn a bit more about the crocodile and the ticking, and it's beautiful, this book, but it's a beautiful sad. It's enchanting. It's enchanting, and it's beautiful, and it basically tells a love story. Again, I should say this before I start my book reviews. Some of the things that I say in my book reviews could be considered as spoilers. So, just bear that in mind if you didn't want to hear any more. But yeah, basically we learn a lot more about Tiger Lily's culture, and she's unhappy with the situation that's going on with her, and there's an outsider introduced to the village, and that puts the village into a bit of up and down, and everything that they've always thought of and done and known has kind of been shaken up. So there's a bit of a tragedy and another kind of underlying story going on, as well as the whole Tiger Lily and Peter romance. And the tribe that Tiger Lily belongs to have always thought Peter as being dangerous and evil, so she's warned against having anything to do with Peter. But then they fall in love with each other, and it's a love that is allowed to happen but also isn't allowed to happen or shouldn't happen. It's really very strange, and everyone loves Peter. You know, all the girls on the island love Peter. Peter loves Tiger Lily, and various things happen, and they still love each other, but they can't be together, and that kind of both drives them crazy, and because they want to be together because they love each other, but they can't be together, and it's all a bit jumbled up, but it's beautiful and sad and enchanting and mysterious, and just really, it's one of them books where it kind of leaves a hole in your heart, but not in a, oh, I'm going to cry my eyes out kind of way, but in a way that you're left haunted by this book. It won't escape you. You're left with this like haunting presence of this book. And I think, I mean, I've got another book lined up ready to read, but it's one of those books where I think it's always going to be with you, and it's always going to form part of who you are, and it's, do you know what I mean? It's going to be one of those things that just stays with you, and you're going to remember it, and it's kind of, yeah, it just basically kind of enchants and captivates you, and it's just like a kind of a beautiful sad, it's a beautiful book, and I do really, really recommend it as a read. I did thoroughly enjoy it, and I finished it last night before bed, and at first I was thinking, oh, I don't actually know how I'm going to sleep now, not because I was upset, but because it was just kind of left with me, and it just left me thinking, oh, okay. One thing's for sure, you absolutely love Tinkerbell. The way the way it's told, with Tinkerbell being doing the telling of the story, you absolutely love Tinkerbell, and you feel sorry for her, and you just kind of, if Tinkerbell was the same size as you, you just want to like hug her. You want to look after her and just think like, you know, you did your best, Tinkerbell. And yeah, we learn a lot more about Tinkerbell, and so I suppose really it is Tinkerbell's story as much as it is Tiger Lily and Peter's, because we learn so much about Tinkerbell that we didn't know before or didn't think before. And so it is really very well written and really, really, really good book. I do thoroughly recommend it, particularly if you like you know, well-known fairy tales or stories that just have a little bit of a different perspective. You know, you get to find out a bit more about that and what was going on the island before Wendy came, and a bit more about the characters. We get that back end character development that we didn't know about when we read Peter Pan. So yeah, I shall just read you the blurb on the inside cover in case you're interested to know what the book actually says. It says, before Peter Pan belonged to Wendy, he belonged to the girl with the crow feather in her hair. 15-year-old Tiger Lily doesn't believe in love stories or happy endings. Then she meets the alluring teenage Peter Pan in the forbidden woods of Neverland and immediately falls under his spell. Peter is unlike anyone she's ever known. Impetuous and brave, he both scares and enthralls her. As the leader of the Lost Boys, the most fearsome of Neverland's inhabitants, Peter is an unthinkable match for Tiger Lily. Soon she is risking everything, her family, her future, to be with him. When she is faced with marriage to a terrible man in her own tribe, she must choose between the life she's always known and running away to an uncertain future with Peter. With enemies threatening to tear them apart, the lovers seem doomed. But it's the arrival of Wendy Darling, an English girl who's everything Tiger Lily is not, that leads Tiger Lily to discover that the most dangerous enemies can live inside even the most loyal and loving heart. From the New York Times bestselling author of Peaches comes a magical and bewitching story of the romance between a fearless heroine and the boy who wouldn't grow up. Wozarini. It's just, yeah, it's just, it is just. And I recommend it. Go and read it or put it on your wish list and give it a go. I think you will enjoy it. I did. And as I say, it's kind of one of those books that's kind of just been left with me, and it's probably one of those books, I usually end up donating a lot of my books to the charity shop, or I pass them on to my friend who might enjoy reading them. I think this one's a keeper. This is one that I'm going to have to read again at another time. Leave it a while until I've forgotten it and then reread it and kind of absorb it. This is kind of, to me, I sort of see this as a bit of a classic that I want to keep on to and, you know, read again at a different time. So yeah, I hope you enjoy it if you're going to read it, and if you have read it, let me know what you thought, because I would love to know, So yeah, that's Tiger Lily.